Hello there, my name is Jackie Notman. I'm an intuitive advisor and an energy reader. And this is your energy reading for the month of April 2012. Now, I use lots of tools in my work. I use Feng Shui, I use the I Ching, I use dowsing, numerology, and I use Feng Shui astrology and the tarot. And it's those two tools that I'm using today to give you your energy reading for April. Now, in Feng Shui astrology, it's the month of thunder. We're moving into this month on the 6th of April, not the 1st. And it's the month of thunder. It's about creativity. It's about action. It's about getting in there and doing things. And sometimes you don't think, first of all, you just need to act. It's a wood month. So it's very, very related to spring, and we're in spring here in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm based in the UK, by the way. So thunder energy is about getting in there, acting first and thinking later. Now that could mean that April is going to be quite active, quite dynamic, quite exciting really, but you may find that if you act first, you have to kind of pick up the pieces afterwards. So a little warning there is always think first. Now, in terms of the tarot cards, it's quite interesting because I've drawn 3 tarot cards for the month, and the first one came out was the Knight of Swords. The second one was the 5 of Swords. Now, swords are all about communication. They're all about mental activity, using words. And if you think about swords being the pen being mightier than the sword, we can actually use words to damage people as much as we can use swords to hurt them. So there's a potential there for upsetting people, but there's also great potential for communication as well. Now, the first card I showed you, which is the Knight of Swords, now he is our typical Mr. Thunder energy. So he's really enhancing this thunder energy. This guy is a great leader, but he's also the king of knee-jerk reactions. He will go in there, he will charge. You can see he's actually charging into something as we speak. Now, he doesn't really care who's following him. He kind of assumes that people will be following him because he's got quite a big ego, but he's just straight in there, knee-jerk reaction, act first and think later. And that's a very typical side of thunder energy. It can be very dynamic, it can be very exciting, but sometimes when we sit down afterwards and get back to normal, we realise, oh, maybe we should have done things that way, maybe we should have trodden a little more lightly doing this. So it's a little bit of a warning. He can be very, very useful though if you need to stir something up. If you've got a situation where it's just really stuck, you need a little kick up the backside, he's your man, and we've got this sort of energy around us in April, so use it wisely though. Now, the second card I showed you was the 5 of Swords. So again, we're still with swords, we're still with that mental activity, and we're still with communications. Now, 5s can be quite problematic. In numerology, 5s are great because they're kind of the centre. They can see both ways. But when you've got all those energies coming from different directions, they can be very problematic. And often when I get a 5 of Swords in a tarot reading, I think of struggles. I think of this need to kind of win the battle, to be right, whether the bigger picture is going to be detrimental to the bigger picture, but it's important that at this moment I am right. And this is really what the 5 of Swords is all about. It's not seeing the bigger picture, it's just being content to win points now. And again, that's very much linked to this guy, the Knight of Swords. So another warning really is about thinking. It's about, am I digging my heels in for any particular reason? Is it so important to my ego that I'm right here, even though the whole bigger picture is going to become detrimental for me? it's all about thinking long term and thinking, what do I need to do to make the situation work long term, rather than just score points now. So let that be a warning to you, because that energy is around in April, and we can quite easily pick up on that. And you know, sometimes when you're really, really into a situation, it is so hard to take a step back and see the bigger picture. But it's important that you do. It's really important that you do. And it's important to be a little bit humble, show a bit of humility, give the point to the other person, because in the long run, you've got to win. All right, so you have been told. Now, we've got a third card in tarot as well, and I like this card. Our third card in tarot is the Emperor. Now, the Emperor is one of the major arcana, and when we get major cards in a reading, it means that the energy is much more stronger, more dynamic. It's going to have an effect on your life. It's almost like little turning points, I suppose. So if you see a lot of major cards in your reading, you know that this is a time in your life when there is so much potential and opportunities to turn things around and make changes. And really, when you look back on that period in your life, you'll say, that's when I changed, and that's when so and so happened. And it really forms kind of little milestones in your memory. So the major arcana, we've got 1 out of 3. So there's a potential, I think, to turn this energy around to our advantage. We've got this fast, dynamic energy. And with the swords, there's potential to do knee-jerk and to rush in and to not think about the bigger picture. But this man, the Emperor, actually helps us take the very positive out of this dynamic energy and to use it wisely, because he is the archetype father, not just our biological father, but our father of the nation. The Emperor holds the nation stable. He provides support. Yeah, he does boundaries. He does discipline. He tells you what you can do and what you can't do, and what's right and what's wrong. You know, sometimes we need that. But what he does also is he gives us a very strong sense of security. And it's only from a very stable, secure foundation that we can really launch ourselves and take advantage of things. And he's going to be around for April. So you can use this communicative energy, you can use the dynamism, you can use this fire and this sort of hearty energy and creativity to make things happen and to achieve your goals. So he's a good man. He's the archetype. So I think generally April can be very positive. And we can either go one of 2 ways. We can get carried away with it, or we can say, hey, let's use this. And I suggest you go for the latter. Hey, let's use this. Okay, so that's your energy reading for April 2012. My website is at the bottom of the screen, www.jackienotman.co.uk. In terms of Feng Shui astrology, if you want to see how it affects you, particularly in your inherent energy, just click on the link to Feng Shui Astrology and you'll be taken through to a monthly blog that I provide. You'll also be shown how to find out your star as well, so you can get an understanding of where you're coming from personally. And it's also got lots of details about all the other things I do, including numerology and Feng Shui. And enjoy April, and I'll see you again next month.